Today we will talk about column in Revit. We have two types of tool for create column. So we have structural column and column architectural. Mostly common in use in my practice of designer of a multifamily buildings are structural columns, which are responsible for a structure of the building. So they are from a steel or reinforced concrete. But Revit provide us second tool, so it's an architectural column, and as the name suggests, this is a column which is only to finish our design, our building, so we can create some decorative column or pilasters in walls as well. So let's check this one. So I will click column architectural, and of course, like with everything else in Revit, before I click in the space, I will check my properties. So I have my option bar, and I can check here rotate after placement, and the same like in walls, I can decide do I want to create them by height or by depth. Height is okay for me, so here I can choose top constraint of my column. So I am on the ground floor, so Revit automatically choose the +1 floor, but we can create them by all the building if we want. So I stay with +1 floor, and another option is room bounding. So do I want to column be included in my rooms of the building? So I can uncheck it here, but I have the same option on my palette properties right here, so I can check it back to create. And another thing which is quite important and is set by default is moves with grids. So it's quite useful thing that when we check our column on the grids, it will follow the grids. So let's check how does it work in Revit. So I will place simple two columns architectural on the grid. Now I will double escape, or if I don't like to use my keyboard, I can use modify to exit to cancel the tool of column architectural, and I will unpin my grid number 3 and move it, and as you can see, my column follows the grid. So it's quite useful that we have this option right here. I will go to undo my changes, and I can set another architectural column right here in the wall. I will zoom in to show you that my columns are automatically set as pilaster in the wall, so it's quite useful. The finish layers of my exterior wall automatically jumped into the architectural column, and now I have those three pilasters with simple 3 clicks. Another thing I would like to show you is that when we select several columns and by clicking space key on the keyboard, we rotate them by 90 degrees. So it might be quite useful when we forgot to set on our option bar rotate after placement. Now we can check parameters of our architectural column. So let's click one of it, and as you can see, the same as in wall, we have base level, base offset, top level, top offset, also move with grids, and room bounding. Let's now check the type properties of our columns. So we have here my material and also some dimension with depth, width, and we even can decide if we want it base offset or top offset. I will click OK. Let's go now to the structural column, and as you can see, my context ribbon is quite different from context ribbon in architectural column. So we have here a vertical column automatically set, but we can also create slanted column, and we have some multiply segments, so it add grids or add columns. So let's maybe check first add columns, as we created some architectural columns in our project. And now if I say it from right to left with the region, I automatically placed the structural column right in it. So I can click finished. I forgot to tell you about property palette and check the type which we have in the project, but no problem, I can do it right now without exiting tool. I will go to the property palette and check that I have one family MW shapes column with some steel I section to type with different dimensions. And here the same, if we select with region some components, we can go to the filter, deselect column and decide that we only want to change structural columns, the space key. And we can freely set them as we wanted. And they're the same, will be moves with grids. But maybe for our projects, let's delete all the columns. So I will check from the left to the right region, delete them by using delete button on my keyboard. And let's place some column in our project, but this time I will choose add grids option. I will zoom all by double click the scroll in the mouse. And now I will check all the grid, and before I will finish my placement, I can zoom in to see that my columns are gray. And for example, at this grid, I don't need that much column in my project. They are even created right in this wall and on the outside of my building. So I will simply deselect the grid A' with holding shift button on my keyboard and check it with the right button of the mouse, and the same with the grid 4, 5, 6' and B' as well. Let's see what happened here. We have some on C', D'. I will deselect the same with holding shift and clicking with the left button of the mouse, and the same here. I don't need those columns on my J grid. Now I have checked it and I can go to finish my column, structural column in the project. I will go to preview. So this is my column, and now I would like to change them for our rectangular reinforced concrete columns that will be more familiar to the shops and coffee center which ground floor is designated to. So to change it, as we checked it before, we have only one type of structural column in the project, MW shapes column. So this is a good time to practice loading family from exterior. So let's go to the ribbon tab, insert, and here we have to load family. Revit automatically sent me to the US metric, which is located in Autodesk and version of the Revit libraries and US metric. So you should have the same, or maybe other language libraries, but at least one libraries you should have. So we have different folders with the family categories like annotations, columns, but these columns are architectural columns. So let's go with the zip down to the structural column. They are right over here. So we have few categories of our columns. I will use concrete, and by clicking the name I can check what my column is. There is a square column, round column, and rectangular column. I think will be mostly used. So I will click on it and go to open in my project. Now I can select by clicking one of the column and right button of my mouse, select all instances visible in entire project, and now from the shape I have my second family with my structural column. So I will choose it for 345 and all the columns are changed now. Let's go to the ground floor to check the column, I can see that this column won't be needed for me. Zoom region to see that columns are changed. And now I hope that tools with columns in Revit are clear now. Thank you for your attention.